I am your host, Carrie Scollin, giving us different perspectives on where we are and where we want to go on our journey. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to spending some time with you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Founder Series. And I have a really interesting guest that I'm excited to talk to dive more into what she does and to share her with you. Kelly Sinclair is here with me, and she is, well, Kisco is kind of your brand on Instagram, Kelly. Is that right?
KS and Co.
KS and Co.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
So it's,
Okay.
I don't know, it's my initials and Co.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, perfect. Well,
Sometimes you
welcome.
can be simple with branding, guys.
That's true. Well, that's what we want to dive into. This is an area that I definitely need help in, but I want to back it up. So welcome. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. I would love to start off with just a little bit of a backstory of what got you into doing what you're doing now. I know a little bit of it, but I'd like to hear it from you, from some of the research that I've done on you and followed you because I'm a huge uh, cheerleader. I love your stuff. So
Aw, that's so
yeah, so
awesome.
yeah, so tell us a little bit about you, Kelly, and why you're doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Carrie. And I'm really excited to chat with you. We're like so close together geographically, which sometimes it doesn't happen that way because when you start like working on the internet, all of a sudden it's like the world gets smaller, which is really cool and also wild at the
Yeah,
same time.
I
Like,
totally agree.
right?
Yep.
But you're in Calgary and I'm in
Yeah.
Cochrane. And so anybody who's listening from Calgary might actually know where Cochrane is. So I'm going to say it. I love it
Yes.
here. I actually am born and raised here. And I am one of the rare people who's still like sort of working in the career that I went to school for.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, I feel like people, while I definitely identify as like corporate dropout,
Yep.
wanting to go in a different direction, I did a communications degree and I have a background in public relations and I've worked in oil and gas and government and all kinds of different organizations because the last job that I had was actually with a PR agency. And
Oh,
so lots of different types of clients.
yeah.
And I find that that's interesting and also relevant that I've taken that experience now
Mhm.
and I work with small businesses
Mhm.
specifically because I love small businesses. And I think that sometimes the quote little guys, we
Yeah.
don't think that we have the resources to do what the quote big guys do.
Right.
And
Right.
I don't think that I don't want that to be true, first of
Mhm.
all,
Mhm.
because I really love to work directly with small businesses to support them with coming up with a brand and visibility strategy that's really customized
Mhm.
to your unique business. And that's what's really important. And I've been doing this for over 15 years. I have never written the same plan twice.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like
Well,
no
they're all
cookie.
unique, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's all about taking that concept of who do you need to talk to? What do you need to say? And what are you trying to get them to do?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that, right? Like, so the application for me with corporate was very different than what it is with small businesses because in the small business sense, we're trying to attract clients.
Right.
So there's more of a marketing, more of a sales kind of perspective on it, but it's the same kind of foundation of how all of that works. So I really love kind of bringing those pieces together. And to me, it's a great opportunity to work in different industries, to
Right.
be able to be innovative in that way and test out these strategies that I've used in Fortune 500 companies with small businesses that may be solopreneurs.
Yeah. Well, in when you were doing the big ones, the corporate, were you able to bring in as much of the personal, like how are you finding that? Like that may be, is that something that is fun for you to bring in the personal aspect when it comes to the smaller business? Like, because
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're all built on, right? Is the
Oh yeah.
personal.
That's
Yeah.
such a good observation too, because I mean I worked in brand for a multi-billion dollar company.
Right.
And what does that look like where we're
Right.
like how you try and get like people on board with, really actually feeling excited and bought into a company like that.
Right, right.
Whereas when I get to work with founders, so much more fun to
Yeah.
when it
That's
comes
what
to
I
brand.
wondered.
Because it's like, yeah, it's your personality. It's
Yeah.
you infused. Like your business is
Yes.
so very much like an extension of you.
Yeah.
And the people that I work with are people who love what they do.
Right.
I feel like you really need that actually to be successful as a small business owner because you're pouring a lot of yourself into it. And that's what
Yeah.
I saw when I started my own business. It was like these entrepreneurs are going out and they're putting all of their blood, sweat, and tears,
Yeah.
all of their probably savings, all of
Yeah.
their everything into this. And I just don't want to see them close down in 6 months,
Right.
And a lot of
Right.
the time, there's so much to do when you're starting a business that you kind of forget about. You can't just turn over the open sign, whether that's physical or not,
Yeah.
and expect people to be coming through the doors.
That's so true. And I was definitely one of them. I'm still in there because I'm like, well, if I just put myself out there, people are going to come. But there's so
Yes.
much more to it than that. And I'm a big believer, like you said. Well, I'm going to go to your core values that you wrote on your website because I really love that you just kind of, it's just so clear. And so it's passion, education, impact, community, and authenticity. So to me, you've wrapped it up so nicely in what your company stands for. And you look for that in other people, I'm assuming, because you must have a process where you don't work with everybody. You want everyone to
Exactly.
succeed, but you also have to be um, able to connect with the company or the small business that you're working for, right? So your
Yeah.
values do come into play there. So when you
Oh, yeah.
talk about the personal brand and the authenticity, I mean, I think as consumers, we're all just getting so much more in tune with it's real or not, right?
Hmm.
Like we can
Hmm.
spot that a mile away. If somebody's energy isn't behind what they're doing, there's no way that that's going to be able to succeed. So your passion part, you've got to see that in your client too,
Yes.
right?
Yes. That is actually one of the ways that I kind of niche down in
Yeah,
my own way is it like there's business owners who are out there who are really savvy, who see an opportunity, see a market, see a way to make money and they go for it.
yeah,
And that's awesome. And we need those products and services
right,
probably as well. But that's not who I'm here to work with. I'm
right,
here to work
right.
with the people whose heart is in it.
Yeah,
And so that's where the passion, and actually it's interesting that you noticed my brand values right away. And that's a huge part of what I help people do in a brand strategy context. And
hmm,
was just working with a client yesterday. And when we were kind of coming up with hers, and she has a chocolate company, like she
okay,
makes chocolates. And
yeah,
so I sometimes work with product-based businesses and I
yeah,
often work with service-based businesses as well. And that's the one thing is that like I don't want a niche industry for me
right,
because where I'm niching is like your values, your passion, the
right.
reason why you're doing what you're doing. Like we all have a
Yes.
different toolkit, right? That we're
Yeah.
executing with. And
Hmm.
as long as like the bigger vision is in alignment, and that's how you really start attracting the right people into your world when you have the clarity about
Yes.
what you do as a business owner and why you're in it and what you're looking for because those are the things that are going to emanate through the way you're communicating, the way you're showing up. The like
Yeah.
we're connected now because I show up in that way
Yeah.
online and you saw that and it resonated with you. And that's
Yes.
exactly how we kind of filter out those who are
Yes.
for us and those who are not. And both from a client perspective as well as a collaboration and
Yeah.
other opportunities, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the litmus test, your brand values and your brand strategy. That's the litmus test for all decision making. Like it's that
Yes.
important.
Yes. And not only in our branding, it's everywhere.
Hmm.
Like even for you to help somebody get clear on the values of their company, it's going to help them get clarity on all around them. Like that's relationships,
Yes.
that's finances. Like I mean, there's a lot that comes when you define your values. I think it's huge. And
Hiring, like corporate culture, like
yes,
all of
yeah,
those things, they all come from that clarity. And
yeah,
we can get into Like there's, when do you do this? Like
Right.
it can be part of your like startup experience.
Yeah.
You also like your brand evolves. Like my company, KS and Co. used to be KS Communications, has had
Okay.
3 different like visual brands
Yeah.
over the course of 7 years. Like it's an evolution.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, I
Yeah.
think, to
Yeah.
acknowledge that you're just going to lean into it and see how it evolves over time.
Right.
And I've worked with like CEOs who are, in a place where they're wanting to expand or they're looking at things differently, or they've started to build all these pieces and they want to bring them together and figure out what's unifying about it.
Mhm.
Like all of these are good times to revisit what I call it a brand strategy. And most
Yeah.
people don't know what that means. And that's
Right.
why I don't really talk about that anymore. Because it's not the thing that we want. And we've all
Right.
learned in marketing, you can't sell people what they don't want.
Right.
So the
Right.
brand strategy is always part of the work that I do,
Yeah.
usually within the context of visibility and putting yourself out there and figuring out the way that that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And, and when you're thinking about, well, what should I be doing? Should I be on podcasts? Should I be having events? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Well, then we have to ask those questions of who are you trying to talk to? What is your messaging? What are your values?
Yes. And
All
getting
that comes into play.
and getting the clarity. And I love that you pointed out that it does evolve because we do as people who are running these businesses. We're not the same person we were when we started. So
Nope.
even big companies, they may started small and they've grown. What's evolved in that, and how do we now need to change the branding to match? And then that's the authenticity piece too. I
Yeah.
also love that, like for me, the importance of the story behind, like story to me is one of the most important things because
Yeah.
we all have them, and it
Yeah.
helps other people understand why we're doing what we're doing. When we can somehow get that piece out in the branding, or branding might not even be the right word, but to me, it just makes it personal. So I connect with
Like
somebody.
it's part of your messaging, right? Like
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
part of how you communicate, how you show up. It's a really core, like we haven't even gotten into kind of quote my story is, but it really helps you to figure out who you're in alignment with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what was interesting about the client I was working with yesterday, because again, she makes chocolate, but
Yeah.
she's all about women empowerment.
Love it.
And she wants to
Yeah.
like see more women be successful,
Yeah.
which is she doing that by the chocolate that she's making? Not necessarily, but she's demonstrating how she's doing that, how she's empowering herself. And then she can find other women
Yeah.
with businesses to collaborate with
Yeah.
and do cool things and like promote and support each other. And I think
Yes.
that's where the cool opportunity is. And I said,
Oh my
well, this is
God.
clearly why we're in alignment, like why
Yes.
you and I are working together, because I
Yes.
am also all about that,
Absolutely.
supporting women, supporting small businesses, like really wanting to see everybody succeed. And I
Yeah.
do that because I think, especially for the moms out there, this is the experience that I had. I was working in the PR firm, driving into Calgary every morning from Cochrane, like
Wow.
to try and beat rush hour. We were
Yeah.
out the door by 6 a.m. 2 kids under 4 in a day
Uh,
home by 6 a.m.
yeah.
I had like my coffee. I had a thermos to refill my coffee. I was like, I should have just been like on an IV of caffeine, something like,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then I was, telling myself, well, it's hard to have little kids and this is what it is. Like, this is
Yeah.
how life is now. And then like, I don't even know if I ever would have realized that that was such crap. And like, I didn't have to put up with that.
Right.
But what happened to make me go through that realization was that
Mhm.
my mom died from breast cancer.
Mm.
And so I had that moment of life is short and you
Yeah.
have that mortality experience,
Yeah.
you know? And this is not how I want to live my days. Like,
Right.
not
Right.
with my kids. Like, everybody's stressed and angry, and all of the moments that we are together, they're hungry. I just have to feed them and then put them to bed. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not why I had a family.
Yeah.
And I wanted to
Exactly.
be able to build a life that I wanted around that. And when I realized that that could be entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
this is now my method and this is now what I want to support other people to do. And I know that in order to be successful as an entrepreneur, you have to market yourself. You have to get visible. You have to put yourself out there. You have
Yeah.
to understand these pieces. And that's what I want
Yeah.
to support people doing.
Yes. I mean, I love that. I feel like there's so many people have that life-changing,
Yeah.
something happened or a diagnosis, and I've been trying to figure out how to help also those who haven't. I'm somebody who hasn't, which I'm
Mm,
very fortunate. I'm blessed by that, but I'm like, how do we live in that way where we wake up and like life is short without having gone through something like that? I want to
mm,
live my life in that way, but if you don't have that wake up call, can we get there? Do you know what I mean? Like it's
ah,
sometimes that's the catalyst that goes, enough's enough. And like you did, I want to spend more time with my girls. I want to be at home. This isn't the life that I envision for myself. And having your mom be that person that made you go, no, things need to change. And
yeah.
and that's what came from that. I also love how you talked about, to me, there's no competition, in my opinion, in the women empowerment circle. It is so much about, I find so much joy in watching other women succeed. If there is anything that I can do to put them on a platform, to get them out, to do whatever, to share them, I'm like I get lit up by that. I'm so excited for that. And I think that's what's happening, or what, I shouldn't say that. I think what we see is what we get. I think what we are looking for is what comes back to us. So I
Ah,
feel like I'm surrounding myself with those types of women that are like, let's collaborate, let's help each other. What do you need from me? How can I support you? This is my strength. Maybe that can help you and you can help me. Like it's just, I think the entrepreneurship is so sometimes gets the rap of, and I'm going to say sometimes it is lonely,
mhm.
but when you find that circle of women that are just so supportive and non-competitive, even if we're doing the same thing, we're not. Like none of us are doing the same thing, even if we may be talking about the similar things, but we're all coming at it from a different perspective. So to me, there's room for all of us. And I like what you do is you shine the spotlight on what does make us a little bit different than the other person. And that's in the branding and the visibility. And I feel it from you, even though we haven't yet met in person. I know that's coming, but I know your intention is true. And that's really how I make a lot of my decisions, is
Mm.
I feel that what that person is coming across, it's real. And I've tapped into that. So I don't work with people that I don't have that connection
That's
with.
so beautiful. And also such a nice compliment. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I think you really have a way of coming across like that you really do care. You want people to get the best out of themselves by putting themselves out there in a way that like is going to help everybody. Because you're not just helping the business, you're helping the consumers that they're going to be able to reach because you're getting them out there. And I
That
feel
is that is true.
I
Like
love
the
that.
the people that I want to support are the people who want to make an impact with what
Yeah,
they do,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And the unfortunate truth is if you hide or you're not out there, if people don't know about you, you
yeah,
can't make
yeah,
it's not just you can't make money, which is true,
yeah,
but you
yeah.
can't make the impact
Right,
either, right?
right.
And that's why that's kind of one of the mindset shifts to help you to get
Hmm.
out there a little bit more is to know that you know, if I don't put myself out there, if I don't show up in a way where people can see how I can help them, then I'm robbing them of the help they deserve.
Yes, yes, exactly. And that you've got to have some mindset stuff in
Yeah.
your work,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's got to be, because
I
that's one of the
realized
biggest things.
sometimes, you know, how your brain, like once you know things, you can't go backwards. Like you don't
Right.
understand how to not
Yeah,
know those things.
yeah.
Well, I realized when I first started working with clients like on branding that one of the first questions I was asking them was like basically, who are you? And they were like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute, I need to go to a Tony Robbins seminar or something. Like I
Yeah.
not everybody is like quite there. Like and
Right.
like I realized that the questions I was asking and the space that I was creating was one really of self-exploration.
Yeah.
Like there's a
Yeah.
huge piece of understanding who you are and getting clear on what that looks like and why you want to do something. And
Yeah.
because not only do you need to know that so that you can like stand confident in what you're doing,
Yeah.
you need to be able to understand that so that you can, where was I going with this? Like motivate yourself on a
Right.
daily basis, right?
Right.
Like, because there's
Right.
days where I wake up and I just don't want to do it today,
Yeah.
but you kind of have to ground back into that. Why
Yeah.
am I doing this? Like, what is getting me to get up and to get on Carrie's podcast today?
Right.
You
Right.
know, if I
Yeah.
didn't actually want to put on makeup or do my hair,
Right. Right. But and you're
this is
right.
real life.
If you can ground back into the impact that you can make by doing it and showing up, that's definitely what gets me out as
Yeah.
well. It
Yeah.
it just reminded me, I had just wrapped up a retreat on the island
Yes.
last week, 2 weeks ago. Um, and I told them the story about why my brand is the lighthouse. And I said, there's so many people that, and I read it in a book. It was an opening line of a book, and they said some lighthouses are trying to run up and down the street and they're trying, or the beach, and they're trying to help all the boats. But if you just realize what a lighthouse is and is standing strong on your foundation and you're shining your light out, there are boats that are going to need you and come into the light. You're going to shine. You're just going to stand there in your the foundation is the best way for me to describe it. And there's going to be people that are repelled by your light because they don't want to be in it. But it's all such a, to me, it's a visual of exactly like you said, getting clear on your values, getting clear on why you're doing what you're doing. And that to me is such a strong place to come from because it doesn't, the storms, whatever comes at you, you're still strong in what you believe in and what the power is that you have to help others. And we get burnt out when we're trying to help everybody.
Oh, absolutely. I got
But you just,
full
oh,
goosebumps from that and visual. That's beautiful. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And that I love when you can get something like you're so excited about with your
yeah,
brand
yeah,
to like symbolize, to like know,
yeah,
to feel like what it means to
yeah,
you,
yeah.
right? And sometimes that's the words, that's the values and the way
Hmm.
that like I love to work on brand values with people because we define those words in whatever way it makes sense for you. It's not like,
Yeah,
let's go to the dictionary. What does authenticity mean?
right,
Right.
right.
And now it's
Because
a super buzzword too. So,
it is, but it's still there's a place for it. I
mhm.
don't want to, it may be a buzzword, but it's still really important
Yes.
as
Yeah.
long
Well,
as
we just now all have a much more clear filter, I think, for what that looks like.
I,
And
I,
it's
I did
so
too.
obvious, like you said, like you can
Yeah,
tell when things are inauthentic.
absolutely. And again, back to the values, I think even when you're starting and like you ask somebody, who are you? Like that's an intimidating question for sure,
Yeah.
because I think we're all still trying to figure that out. But if you, like for me, if I started to think about the values I want for my business and take it off of me, I'm actually uncovering who I am when I dive into those values. Because who I am
Mhm.
as a person is definitely my values as a business. But sometimes it's
Yes.
harder to look at ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like
I get that question a lot actually, like are my personal values different than my
right.
business values?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, like they're so very intertwined quite often.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
you it's when we get into like defining what that looks like, right? Like
Right. Right.
collaboration, right? Being I think when I wrote that for myself, I meant we're going to work collaboratively together, like
Right.
with my clients. Because I
Right.
used to work at a PR firm and I felt like I was supposed to be a magician in a room. Like
Right.
I'd have one meeting with a client and they were like, hey, go make this plan. And then I'd go away and make this plan, and I was supposed to
Yeah.
present it like a magic wand.
Right.
And in the meantime, like 25 more decisions had been made and not communicate. Like it doesn't work to
No,
not be
no.
working in collaboration with each other.
Yeah.
You have to like uncover things and unlock things and kind of go on a journey together.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I don't, that's why I'm like, while I do have a magic wand as a fairy grandmother,
Yes, I
I
love that.
also think it's important to like just really be part of the process. Plus, that
Yeah.
also leads into the way that I like to support people in education,
Yeah.
right? It's not
Yeah.
just like telling you what to do, it's
Yeah.
teaching you how to do it.
Yes. Yeah. So that, like you said, when your brand starts to evolve, you're going to be more aware of it as
Yeah.
well when you've got the education behind it and the why behind it,
Yeah.
which is what you obviously help people do. So tell me what you've got coming up
Hmm.
and what kind of the process is if somebody was to reach out to you. What, like, you must start with, okay, let's get into the who we are and what we want and what's the story behind it. But what else do you, I mean, do you have like programs that are weeks long, or do you just take somebody from start to finish and they run with their brand and away they go? Tell me what you do.
Uh, all of the above a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
And like as we're talking, and this is all very like evolving and kind of coming in real time. I literally just sent an email before I got on with you about
I
a
know,
new
I got it. I got it.
oh,
That was
okay.
awesome. That was perfect.
Check that out.
Yeah.
And essentially what I'm excited about right now is that I think that, you know, I have done different versions of the same kind of thing for basically 7 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's in a one-on-one context where
Mhm.
we sit down and like build a strategy, like talk brand strategy. And if you're in a place where you don't know what your next step should be in your
Right.
business,
Mhm.
that's probably what you need to focus on
Right.
because like decision making comes from having that brand clarity. So
Right.
I was talking to one person about the program that I'm offering now called Brand Visibility Accelerator, which is specifically around focusing on getting you more visible over
Right.
like a 90-day sprint
Yeah.
where I will actually help you to build your custom plan. So based on you, what you do, what you offer, your messaging, like, so there's like a mini brand strategy definitely as part of that.
Yeah.
But how to determine like priorities, what is going to be your biggest ROI when it comes to
Right.
visibility, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
should I be like going on all these podcasts or getting out to events in real life
Mhm.
or doing like email bundles or like online summits or what is it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's going to be different for you, Carrie, and for me, and for anybody else listening to this because you have different strengths.
Yeah.
First of all, like
Mhm.
some people want to throw up in a corner if they go into a room,
Right.
and that's okay. we
Yeah.
we can work with the introverts as well
Yes.
and
Yeah.
identify what's going to be like an effective way because maybe like you feel really good about one-on-one and I have a whole swack of individual outreach types of visibility that these things all count.
Yeah.
Everything that you do that gets you in front of at least one other person
Yeah.
each day, and this is all about building a habit around visibility.
Yeah.
This is something that you need to do on a daily basis. You need to always be putting yourself out there because that's going to create this amazing ripple of opportunities that eventually, instead of you reaching for them, they're going to start coming to you.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Like this
Yeah.
is the shift
Okay.
that's happened to me, especially because I've been doing this intentionally for my own business for over a year.
Wow.
And that's media pitching and podcast pitching and collaborating and being part of things. And now I'm getting invitations, and it's
Love
very
it.
nice
I love
to
that.
have to shift into that, right? But
Yes.
essentially, the program is to build you that plan and then
Yeah.
to create the container for 90 days alongside other business owners where you can create new connections and
Yeah.
collaboration opportunities where I'm going to share all of the ones that are now coming to me and
Love
through
it.
my platform. So I have a podcast as well, right?
Yes.
Entrepreneur School.
Yep.
And so maybe I'm hosting an event or you would be a good fit for my podcast or we're doing something like I can create these opportunities. So it's this cool I'm really excited because it's like a hybrid in that way,
Yeah.
where you're getting one-on-one support to like have a clear vision for you.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to actually implement it. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you're like, how do I pitch myself for a podcast? Well, we'll
Right.
come together and practice that and refine your
that.
messaging. And I've got all the templates and all the tools and all the systems and everything that I've built and used to create this system for myself, this
Yeah.
part of this strategy, this daily visibility habit, visibility momentum, I call it.
I love that you call that a habit, because I think that's really important. Like, it doesn't have to be this huge thing. It's one at a time. Create the
Yeah.
habit daily, do it. And you talked about the hybrid program. That's also, you get the group aspect too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I love the group. I really,
Yeah.
that's what works for me, because I
Yeah.
like being in that, where you're bouncing ideas off each other, but you've got somebody like you, who is an expert in this area that can help guide us a little bit more in the clarity part with our own, because everyone's got a different.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I love
exactly.
that you're combining both of those.
And where we get stuck often is overthinking, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is why, like, I realize sometimes it's kind of hard to say, like, well, what you just need to do is be proactive, because that's and right now it's October and
Yeah.
we're talking about like your success. If you're launching something in January, or you like have stuff you really want to go hard in 2025,
Yeah.
that starts now.
Yes.
It starts with the relationships you build now, the seeds that you start planting now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So when does your new program start?
ASAP.
Really?
It's starting like next week or in a couple of weeks, depending on I have 4 spots left for the founding members, and I want to have a group of 5 to get it kicked off. So
Okay.
I don't know when you're launching, when this is
Well,
airing, but
I'm gonna try and get this.
it'll
I'll-
still exist.
Okay, I'm gonna try and get this as soon as I can. I'll send it to my lady who does that for me, because that's not one of my strengths. So they take it and
That's a good thing to identify. Yeah.
yes, they take it and they make it look nice, and yeah, and on YouTube too. So okay, so that group is called, well, the first thing they should do is get on your email list, because then everybody's going to be aware, and you'll be sending more stuff out.
Yeah, and if you go to
Right.
ksco.ca, right on my homepage, there's always a free resource for you to
Perfect.
access that'll give you some like initial tips, and they're always around visibility, right? I think right now what's up there is a toolkit that has
Perfect.
like 30 plus visibility strategies that you can use in under 10 minutes a day, and also carry that don't rely on social media.
Yeah, can you touch on that for a second? How are you?
I was like, wait a minute, we haven't even got to the
I know. We've got so much to cover.
Yes.
Tell me about that, because that sounds like, how do you get yourself out there without using social media? Like, what?
Yeah, and I want to reframe social media, really,
Okay.
is what it is.
Yeah.
That social media should not be your primary like source of leads. Like, if that's
Okay.
what you're trying to do, that's the hard game,
Okay.
I believe. Like,
Okay.
I'm not saying that there aren't people who don't successfully do that.
Right.
And there's lots of people online who have built businesses around using social media. But here's the thing that we need to know about that. They are influencers. They're already getting paid when they post.
Right.
You're taking advice from somebody who has an entirely different business model than you.
Right. Yep.
We're
Good
talking
point.
about like trying to get content seen in the explore feed on Instagram and like be found in this giant sea of the internet. And I think that that's what's causing the stress. That, and the fact that we're spending so much time on social media that we're now doing all this comparing. It's getting in our heads. Like, it's just, I've just been watching people lately, like saying, peace out, I'm leaving social media. I've
Yeah.
built my whole business here. You've watched me have 3 children, like all of this.
Right.
And now I'm gone. I can't,
Yeah.
it's not good for my mental health. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can see
Yeah.
how this is going to keep happening.
I can see that too, for sure.
But I use social media for connections, for
Mhm.
like DMing people, like being
Right.
social, like reaching out and staying in touch.
Yeah.
So I look at it as a secondary
Nice.
place.
Oh, I like that
for
shift.
visibility, right?
Yeah.
It's just not your
Yeah.
primary thing.
Yeah.
So you don't need to wake up in the morning and go, what am I going to post on social media today?
Right.
Because if that is driving you crazy right now, then if we shift your visibility strategy to like, these are the other things I'm doing, and now I'm just going on social media and talking about them, way easier. I'll be like,
Yes.
screenshot. Here's a picture of me and Carrie doing this podcast. Like,
Right.
go check her out. Like, now we're connecting with each other's audiences just by
Yes.
way of that. So much
Yes.
easier.
Yep.
And then you're just using social media to like showcase what you're doing or to repurpose something else that's already happening. So if
Yep.
part of your visibility strategy is podcasts or speaking events or whatever, then you're just using social media to share about those things. Like if you
Right.
actually look at my social media, you're going to see my podcast, and whatever collaboration I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm rarely coming up with content just for the sake of coming up with content.
Right. Well, I love how you said we can use social media rather than the other way around.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
use it for our good and what we want. It does, and don't get sucked into the what we should be doing.
Yeah,
Right.
I
In
know.
that, and like you said, the comparison and the what am I going to put out there today? I don't know about you, but I've recently realized or found out that my human design is a projector.
Oh, I was gonna ask you about that after actually. What's
I
your human design?
I
Because we're
know.
talking about like collaborating and stuff.
Yeah. So do you take any of that into your like I have moments of creativity and I am all in and then I disappear.
Yeah.
So I because then I need a break from it. I don't know what it is, but learning the projector thing was like, oh, thank you.
Why?
Like that
Because
makes
I need a nap.
sense. Yes, it makes so much sense now but I've got to take advantage of my creative times so
Hmm.
that when I do have that downtime and that rest, I'm not feeling guilty of taking that away. So I just wondered if you touched on the human design when you're helping people with their
Yeah, I mean,
brand.
I have been exploring it a lot. I'm not
Mhm.
certified or anything like that.
Yeah, no, me
Thought
neither.
about doing it actually, but that just also felt like a shiny object that I just kind of was chasing. I'm a
Yeah.
generator, so I'm like, oh, this is
Oh.
cool. Let's do everything now. Um, but
Okay,
but
perfect.
when you have that awareness, I think that yes, like we need to pull in everything
Yeah,
about what you know about how you operate in
right.
order to really just maximize that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
also sometimes we have to filter out like what is an excuse? What is the like thing
Yeah,
that you're telling yourself you can't do?
absolutely.
And is that real
Yeah.
or is that in your head?
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I like explain myself as the kind of coach who is like a super cheerleader. I'm lovingly going to walk you to the edge of that cliff and give you a little push. Because
That's
I saw, oh
perfect.
my gosh, I was at my workout class on the weekend and this woman was wearing a shirt and on the back it said, "But did you die?" And I was like, that is so it. Because none of the stuff that we're talking about here is going to put you in physical harm.
Yeah.
It's just your ego. Your
Yeah.
ego is a bouncy ball. Like it's fine.
Yeah, I
Everything,
agree.
like every time you reach out to someone and you think you're going to get rejected, like yeah, that can feel like
Yeah,
it could hurt, but
yeah,
it really will help you build your resilience.
yeah,
And it's an important thing to just do it. Like
I agree.
hashtag do the thing. That's
Yeah.
my motto.
100%. Absolutely 100%. And we've learned that, right? I mean, especially if you've got your own business,
Mm-hmm.
it is that is what it is all about. And a lot of times I think when people start it's also that worrying about what other people are going to think if I put this out there and that's got to go too. Because honestly, it's like
Yeah,
nobody cares as much as we think they do.
for
Like
sure.
we've got like such a short amount of time to grab their interest. And I just think, just do it anyways. Like honestly, do
Yeah,
whatever it is because in the long run you're going to be happier that you did it than if you didn't. Like
I 100%
that's
agree
what I
with
think.
that.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
Yep.
think so too. Okay, so how
Exactly.
can
And
people find you?
yeah, I mean, come find me at Entrepreneur School Podcast. If you're a
Yes,
podcast listener, I'm
yes.
there every week, and we're
Love that.
always talking about the different strategies for marketing, visibility, business growth. life as an entrepreneur, like how do we do this thing? Like I called it entrepreneur school because I was like, what? Well, first of all, why is there no entrepreneur school? Like
Yes, great point.
um
Yes.
it's different than business school because
Yes.
there's a whole like all of the life roller coaster stuff that you go through, and
Yeah.
even as parents as well.
Yeah.
I bring in guests talking about different mindsets and all of
Love
the
it.
pieces that we need to
Love it.
just really embrace this
Yeah.
fun ride that we're on.
Yeah.
And then I do like hanging out on Instagram, like as
Yeah.
an anti-social media person. I am on
Yeah.
social media in the DMs. Like, please
Yes.
reach out to me actually and connect. And
Yeah.
if you have a question or an idea or whatever,
Yeah.
find me over at ksco_Kelly, and ksco.ca is my website where you'll find all the ways to work with me,
Yes.
all the free
And
resources.
subscribe. Yep.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the email so you're up to date on everything that Kelly is offering. I am so thrilled that you are here. I I definitely see a collaboration forthcoming. There's no
Oh
doubt
yeah, we're
about
gonna
it.
definitely
I
talk
know.
about something really cool when we get off
Yeah.
the recording, I'm sure.
Yes, I know. I can't wait. So everybody, thank you so much for being here and listening. Definitely check Kelly out if you've got any, I mean, you cover a lot of things. So even if you're just starting or you've already been in it, she's your girl. I 100% agree that we all sometimes just need some help. And we've got to be the ones to reach out and do that. So, Kelly, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for listening. Oh, I got a big line down my face.
The
YouTube's
sun.
going to look kind of funny, but anyways, all right. Thanks everybody for being here, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.